for MOONCAST.
Let's go! Hi. How are you? Long time no see, huh? Actually, I'm having a little bit of sore throat today, so my voice is a little bit lower than usual. Hope that you understand that.
Why don't you pull that microphone up and use that one so it can be closer to you?
Yeah, right. Let me see.
Oh,
we
no.
have to do all of
You have
this.
to do it.
Careful. This boomer have to do all of this shit. Give me a second.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
A little lower. Watch out for the cable.
Yeah.
She's got it.
Okay.
Clear out all the bull crap on her desk. Get it as close to you as you can, man.
Okay. Like this, right?
Yeah, like real close.
Okay, change this.
Ooh, you probably just popped in their ears. But
sorry, comrades. Did you hear the loud pop? Sorry. I did.
Get up real close and you'll sound real sexy with that throaty voice you have.
Oh, really? This is what you want? Maybe I should, like I should have my OnlyFans kind of account, but only with audio, What do you think about this? So yesterday I went to the mountain and it was raining for about 30 minutes. I got wet. And I guess that's why I have this kind of problem. Hi everybody. Thinking about that actually, in the near future, I think I will have like ASMR kind of channel where I only record videos when I'm sick. So I can have a deep, low voice. And that could be sexy. I mean, it's just the belief that EJ told me that whatever you do and whatever you wear is somebody's kink somewhere.
Rule 34.
Rule
By
34.
The way, you just pissed off every ASMR person.
Why?
Because they're always very adamant that it's not a sexual thing.
Oh, I mean sexual in a good thing. In a good way.
I'm just saying, you just pissed off the entire ASMR community. And those are not enemies you want to have.
Oh, shit.
It's like pissing off K-pop stands or something. You better apologize. You better issue an immediate apology.
I apologize if your ASMR creators or the ASMR fans apologize. Sincere apologize from deep my heart.
Do you want a Ricola cough drop?
Yeah, I do.
Where are they?
On the bamboo shelf down there. Thank you so much. We feel the poor. I mean, I love your name. Top C here. Back with the C-Bucks for Luna. Thank you for your service, braver than the American troops. Thank you so much. And we feel the poor, yes. What's been going on in the US? Can we talk a little bit about the inflation rate in the US right now? It's pretty bad, right? Right? It was about like over 20%, I think, if I remember. It's really fucking bad. I gotta say, I don't know. But should I eat this in the stream though?
I'm asking you. I don't know.
Okay, I'll leave it here.
You can also wear one of the beautiful scarves I've got you around your neck.
Aw, so sweet. Well, okay, I will let you decide this. So we have three colors. And I'm gonna wear one of these on my neck. So now let's see what color you want. The purple, pink, or kind of dark red, like this. All right. Inflation rate in pink, purple, pink. Okay, pink. Everybody says pink, huh? Okay. Purple is dope. Okay, man. Okay. Oh, you're kidding me. Dark red wine color. Okay, purple. The purple kind of equal now, like pink. So hard to design, man.
You just have to continuously switch scarves throughout the
Yeah. Okay, I will start with the red wine thing. Okay, and then I will switch. After every 30 minutes, I switch, okay? Started this wine color. All right. Inflation rate in Vietnam. I mean, mostly in big city because I'm living in Da Nang, a little like medium sized city, and I don't see much of an of like any effect much. No, mostly in a big city like Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City, we have that. But according to our official document, I think that the inflation rate in Vietnam right now is like 7 or 9%. It's absolutely higher than usual, but still like less than a half of the inflation rate in the USA for sure. I'm not good at tidying this up, but I'm trying my best. Okay. Now, everybody, today finally I watched the PragerU video about the Vietnam War. I gotta say I'm pissed. Now let's watch all together. Watch this video and let me, comment about this video. It's just so bad. It's very bad. PragerU. I hate it so much. Now let's watch the PragerU video about the Vietnam War. And let's see how the white, especially the white conservatives in America, been whitewashing our own history about our own country. This is the first time I watch it like live like this. I just watched it like quick before the stream and I'm really really pissed. Oh, Braga, you just it's just the everything bad. I can't. Wow, it's kind of a little bit amazing that they managed to turn every single information into shit. This is so wrong. And it must require like very like some effort to just be wrong all the time. How can a whole group of people like that can just be wrong the whole time all the time? Now let's start with get ready, comrades. We are in this together. Don't worry, we're in this together. Let me share the video. Share. Okay. The truth about the Vietnam War now. Oh, what is PragerU? Wow. Please to ignorant. So, what do you say it? EJ, can you come here and educate us real quick about what the fuck is PragerU? What is PragerU?
is a fake college that
Yes.
it was started by a far right wing chud named Dennis Prager, mega boomer, perhaps the king of boomers, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
The Grand Imperial Duke of Boomers.
Oh gosh.
And PragerU has extremely deep pockets. It has a lot of funding from huge, very wealthy, hyper-capitalist, right-wing kind of libertarian sort of think tanks and
PragerU is a right-wing media outlet funded by the Koch brothers.
Yeah, the Koch brothers invest a lot in it, but they're not the
Koch
only ones.
brother. That's
the
no
Koch brother. I forgot.
Brother.
The other one's burning in hell.
Yup.
The Koch brother that's not burning in hell and many other deep-funded capitalists have funded PragerU. They generate a shitload of content. One of my favorite videos that I've made is a Mystery Science Theater parody making fun of one of their videos. You can find that at youtube.com/noncompete. But they just are really a miserable propaganda outlet, and they make a lot of content. They get a lot of money. They buy a lot of media buys on YouTube and Facebook.
They paid a lot of money for the marketing. That
Yeah.
is why they have millions of fucking views.
Yeah. So there you go. That's that.
There you go. That is it. I wish that I didn't know about PragerU actually. My life was so much better before I know that PragerU exists.
So say we all. You could probably boost your microphone a teeny bit.
Really?
Channel 3.
Okay, better.
Yeah, that's better.
Now let's start, comrades. Can't wait.
Decades back in late 1972.
Oh, wait. I need to fix this. I need to put on my headphones. Okay, got it.
You also need to turn the volume up a lot.
Really?
Yeah, he was pretty quiet.
Okay. Volume on where? On
the YouTube video itself.
Okay. Oh yeah, I put it a little bit low.
Boost it up max, and then turn your headphones down.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's start.
Decades back in late 1972, South Vietnam and the United States were winning the Vietnam War decisively by every conceivable measure. That's not just my view. That was the view of our enemy, the North Vietnamese government officials.
Oh, wait a minute. Like the first 18 seconds, I saw a lie here. I saw a bunch of lies here. And let's listen this again and debunk this.
South Vietnam and the United States were winning the Vietnam War decisively by every conceivable measure.
Oh, wow. Okay. Excuse me, where's the sauce? Excuse me? Like sauce dude trust me? By the way, God damn it. The first 15 seconds, seriously, PragerU. You cannot even pass the first 20 seconds. It must be fucking 15 and 18 seconds. You already have this big lie. All right, now here's the thing. Late 1972. Oh gosh, it's just 18 seconds in, and this is already it. Now, the USA, came to Vietnam in early 1950s and set up puppet government, all the way to 1950s to 1960, right? And in 1965, with the fabricated Gulf of Tonkin incident, that they started the Vietnam War officially on paper, but actually they started it 15 years earlier, okay? Since from around 1965, 66, 67, there were two main warfare that they did in Vietnam, the South of Vietnam. It was a special warfare, and then it was local warfare, and they both failed miserably. The only thing that the USA and the puppet government in the South of Vietnam had, better than Vietnam, was the modern weapons from the USA. But because the first special warfare failed, so they applied the second. It was a local warfare, and they still failed. And I got to say that by the time 1967, 1968, it was a hard time for Vietnamese communists too, because we lack, weapons and food too. And it was really hard. But, at that time, when the North of Vietnam had a hard time fighting against, the American troops and the puppet troops, we started the Tet Offensive 1968, and we won. The Tet Offensive was a failure of the USA. We have to admit that we lost a lot. Yeah, we sacrificed lots and lots of people. My own grandpa died in Tet Offensive in 1968. So yes, it was really difficult, Vietnam, but we did win. Because that Vietnam, the North Vietnam won against the America and the puppet troops, in 1968 because of Tet Offensive. That was why in 1969 we forced the USA to sit on a table with us to discuss the Paris Peace Accord. Do you seriously think that the USA, completely winning in Vietnam, they were willing to sit on a table in Vietnam in Paris to discuss about the peace accord? Like seriously, how delusional you must be to really believe that a bloodthirsty country like the USA, that if they were really winning in Vietnam and they decided to go talk to the communist North Vietnam about the peace accord, seriously, we forced them to sit and talk peace accord with us because we won against them in Tet Offensive. We paid terrible price for it. but we won. And directly straight up from 1969 to 1972, we kept winning and winning and winning. The USA was so desperate that in March, here's the thing, that's another story too. At first, from 1969 and 1970, 1971, and up until the March of 1972, the USA, the puppet government of South Vietnam, the North government of Vietnam, and the National Front, the National Liberation Front of Vietnam sit together, as four sides. And we demand that the USA have to withdraw all of the troops out of Vietnam. And at that time, Nixon didn't agree, and he wanted to, okay, if we withdraw out of South Vietnam, the North also have to withdraw out of the South of Vietnam. Means that like we both, the America, the USA wanted, the puppet government to stay there and keep fighting for them. And we just said, fuck no. America has nothing to do. None of the businesses in Vietnam, so get the fuck out, and we will deal with this by ourselves. Now that is what the government of Vietnam with Ho Chi Minh believed and wanted to. And because we didn't agree for 3 years, we couldn't, find a common ground in that. So we kept fighting. That was why the Paris Peace Accord started in 1969, but even until 1972, we couldn't sign it yet because we disagree in that thing. Now, in March 1972, when Vietnam, the North of Vietnam and the USA could not agree with each other on, all the agreements in that peace accord, the Paris Peace Accord was kind of hard, like they kind of postponed at that time. And then that was why we kept fighting, because Vietnam had to fight the US even more to force them to follow our agreement that they have to get the fuck out of Vietnam. And then the communists, will keep fighting and to reunite our country. It was also the time that the USA, because they wanted Vietnam to, to need out for the USA too. So the USA started from around March 1972 all the way to September 1972. They bombed severely the central south of Vietnam. Quảng Bình, Quảng Trị is a place of the Quảng Bình, Quảng Trị, and Quảng Nam too. The provinces in the central south of Vietnam, and they were near the 17th parallel, the parallel of the Geneva Agreement. If I have time, I will talk more about the Geneva Agreement, but straight to the point about that. The USA wanted the North of Vietnam to kneel down to the power of the USA, so they bombed. There was a square part in Quảng Trị, old quarter. It's the old fortress of Quảng Trị. We call it Thành Cổ Quảng Trị in Vietnamese. It was just a square of like 3 square kilometers. It's just 3 by 3 like this. It's small. 3 square kilometers. And in that 6 months from March to September of 1972, when the peace accord was being postponed by both sides, the USA continuously dropped bombs on that just square. And it was equal to 7 nuclear bombs. The bomb that was dropped onto Hiroshima of Japan. Just on that 3 square kilometer in the center of Vietnam, the bombs equal to 7 nuclear bombs were dropped. And all they did was so that they can have a better negotiation in the Peace Paris Accord. And we still defeated them. And the movie, if you watch the movie, the Mùi cỏ cháy, it means the smell of the burning grass is available on YouTube for free with English subtitles. That movie is about that 3 square kilometers in 1972 when the US was bombing it continuously for 6 fucking months, equal to 7 nuclear bombs. Hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese soldiers died in that area to defend ourselves. And all they did was just to have a better deal in the peace accord. They didn't give a shit about the life of Vietnamese people. And they lost. And then so in December of 1972, the USA, because they were losing in the battlefield at the center in the south of Vietnam. So they decided to bring B-52s, the flying fortress, to go to Hanoi and Haiphong and bombed Hanoi and Haiphong for 12 days and nights continuously. I had videos, I wrote articles about this. The 12th day and night of Vietnam, and we shot down so many B-52s and other aircrafts so badly that the USA had to stop bombing the north of Vietnam and had. On the late December of 1972, they were losing so terribly in Vietnam, especially on the sky of Hanoi, that they had to call Vietnam again and restart the peace accord, and they had to sign it. The Nixon, Henry fucking Kissinger had to sign the peace accord of Vietnam because they definitely 1,000% losing in Vietnam. So PragerU, this asshole boomer conservative ding dong, totally wrong about the USA and the puppet regime winning on all kind of numbers and kind of fields in Vietnam. That's totally biggest lie, because the only reason why the USA, Henry Kissinger and Nixon sit with Vietnam and sign the peace accord was because they were losing so terribly in Vietnam, so badly that there was no sign for them to ever win against Vietnam. That was why they signed in late December and then January of 1973. And right after that, they had to withdraw all the troops out of Vietnam, follow our demand, not them. That's how losers they were. And this PragerU just flipped 180 degree of the truth and say that the USA were winning. Like, what the fuck? If you're really, really winning, so why the fuck did you sit in the table to have a peace accord with the evil communist North Vietnam and did exactly what you told them we told you to do? Like, seriously? It's just, I can't stand this. All right. Let's continue. It just, fucking 15 first seconds and already lie.
When the United States were winning the Vietnam War decisively by every conceivable measure. That's not just my view. That was the view of our enemy, the North Vietnamese government officials.
No, we didn't think that, you
Victory was
dumbass.
apparent when President Nixon ordered the U.S. Air Force to bomb industrial and military targets in Hanoi, North Vietnam's capital city, and in Haiphong, its major port city. And we would stop the bombing if the North Vietnamese would attend the Paris peace talks that they had left earlier. The North
Okay, this is talk about, the exactly part that I just talked to you about. The Paris Peace Accord was postponed for a few months because we couldn't find a common ground in the agreement to sign the accord. Actually, this is into normal. Okay, if you want to say it slower. Let's watch this again and talk about another point I want to make.
Victory was apparent when President Nixon ordered the U.S. Air Force to bomb industrial and military targets in Hanoi, North Vietnam's capital city, and in Haiphong, its major port city. And we would stop the bombing if the North Vietnamese would attend the Paris peace talks that they had left earlier.
The lie here is so terrible that I don't even know where to freaking start. All right, first, that's a super chat, right? Actually, Jason, thank you so much for your super chat. The message is 1972 North Vietnam won major offensive, 185,000 men invasion of the south. Of the south. Yes, exactly. Yeah, thank you so much for your super chat. Yeah. You said that the lie here is so big. There's so many layers of lies that I need to slowly, uncover now. First, they talk about, 12, I just said 12 days and night, they continuously bombed Hanoi and Haiphong, and they bombed factories in Vietnam, factories with just normal workers. not like military. This is literally war crimes that the USA were committing. Literally war crime because they did not bomb military bases. They did not bomb our soldiers or anything. They bombed civilians' residents. They bombed buildings and hospitals and factory, which is normal workers there. John McCain were bombing during this time, and he was arrested too. John McCain successfully bombed Vietnam 22 times. And on the 23rd times, when he was trying to bomb a light bulb factory in Vietnam full of female workers, we shot him down. And we rescued him and we sent him into prison in Vietnam because he's fucking war crimes, war criminal. What do you expect? Like what? Treat him like fucking the special guest and allow him to live in the palace or what? He's fucking war criminal who successfully bombed Vietnam 22 times. How many people were killed by him? Just innocent people. The USA just talk about the literal war crimes that they did, and they brag about the body count. This is fucking psychopaths, a bloodthirsty psychopath, where they brag about how many innocent civilians that they killed in the war crime that they committed. So just all the point is that like they can have a better deal in the Paris Peace Accord. And they didn't even explain, there's no source whatsoever in this video. It's just like every single truth being filtered to the mouth of this fucking boomer asshole. I just, oh my gosh. I just can't. And they even said like they would have a stop bombing. Excuse me? Fucking excuse me? You dropped the amount of bombs equal to 7 nuclear bombs in the center of Vietnam, and you fucking lost still. And then you brought the F-111 and then the B-52s, the Flying Fortress, to the North Vietnam and bombed the shit out of Hanoi, the capital city of Vietnam, and Haiphong, a very important port city in Vietnam, so we can receive fertilizers and food from other countries. Literally war crimes that they made, and they did it. We desperately want them to stop killing our people. After 12 days and night, we had to stop them the only way to stop them was to shoot down B-52, and we did it. To this day, Vietnam is still the only country in the world that can shoot down not one, but 34 B-52 aircraft on an actual battlefield. The only one fucking country in the world that can do that. Okay? It was so bad. I remember, if I can remember it wrong, the losing, the ratio of the B-52 in the USA, like we shot down about 17% of B-52 that were considered undefeatable by the USA expert, by those weapon experts. But we shot down so many that they had to stop bombing after 12 days and night. And they had to sit with us in the Paris Peace Accord and sign. This dude just said this thing with straight face. Wow, how can he sleep at night? Like he doesn't have a conscience or something? Or how strong the indoctrination must be inside your head that you can straight up say this biggest lie without feeling anything about this. My brain is trying to make sense of this shit because like he must be so fucking evil if he knows the truth, but he still say this lie so he can lie to millions of people on the internet. Or he just so freaking indoctrinated, so freaking propagandized by the CIA propaganda that he literally believes that this is true. Wow.
the North Vietnamese did go back to the Paris peace talks, and we did stop the bombing, as promised.
Oh, look at that. So they just like, again, they just talk about their literal war crime and the war crime that they committed, and then they still lost. And they brag about it as like, oh, because, we bombed the shit out of them and we forced them to Syria. So, well, we promised and we stopped the bombing as we promised. Like, he act like this is, the mercy of the USA that the USA did for Vietnam. Like, we did the mercy. Like, okay, because you start the... Literally, Nixon and Henry Kissinger contacted Vietnam and asked Vietnam to continue the Paris Peace Accord, not the other way around. So just like, your neighbor. No, not even neighbor. Some fuckhead living in even a different city suddenly, drove to your house with a bunch of gangsters and weapons and beat the shit out of you yourself and your wife and your children and your parents, beat the shit out of them. And then we fought back, And then we fought back so badly that they had to stop beating us up. And they had to like, okay, can we just sit down now and talk about the peace accord? And then about 40 years later, 50 years later, they're fucking, some dude from the same city just thought that like, oh, that fucking asshole family just did a mercy because, they just stopped beating us. They stopped beating your family after we agreed to talk peace with them. What kind of logic is this? Look at that fucking psychopath. Look at that fucking face. Brag about the war crime the USA did with that straight face. No feeling, no emotion whatsoever. We are talking about the lives of hundreds of thousands of innocent Vietnamese in 1972. Bombed by the USA. John McCain was the one who did this. One of the pilots who did this. Fucking John McCain. Never forget that.
On January the 23rd of 1973, President Nixon gave a speech to the nation on
that
primetime
loser.
television, announcing that the Paris Peace Accords had been initialed by the United States, South Vietnam, North Vietnam, the Viet Cong, and the accords would be signed on the 27th. What the United States and South Vietnam received in those accords was victory.
Oh gosh. They consider this is the victory of the USA. Literally, what fucking kind of victory? That you waged a war in this country for 20 fucking years. And you lost so badly that you had to fucking withdraw all of your troops out of that country without receiving any fucking thing and claim that this is a victory. Victory of what? Victory of a bunch of what? The peace protest in the USA? Or what? What? Oh, here. Thank you so much for the super chat. 4-star. The disinformation density is close to a black hole. The mass or number of lies per volume or minute of video is absurd. Literally, what did the USA gain in Vietnam? None whatsoever. The North Vietnam still took power, and just 2 years later, we had to find a victory and end the existence of puppet regime. 58,000 US troops died in Vietnam, and they had to withdraw of our country. Victory? What? Excuse me? Seriously? What's wrong with you, brother? What's fucking wrong with you? Do you think this is a victory of Vietnam? A victory of the USA? What? Please give me one thing the USA gained from Vietnam. Oh, they just pull out soon enough. They pull out soon enough before they seriously, terribly lost. So just pull out soon, and there would be no pregnancy. I mean, yep. I mean, wow, amazing! Thank you so much for your super sticker, LS. Oh gosh.
At the White House, it was called VV
VV
Day,
Day.
Victory in Vietnam Day.
I'm speechless. This is seriously. I'm sorry, excuse me, people in the chat. If you're from the USA, is this really true that literally January 1973, when the USA, the most powerful military in the freaking world, had to sign the peace accord with this tiny Viet Cong on the other side of the earth in Southeast Asia and follow our terms. They had to do what we told them to do, which was all American troops get the fuck out of Vietnam. Seriously consider this is like the VV Day? The Victory Day in Vietnam, seriously? Wow. What the fuck we claim we chose not to continue, not that we won. Nobody was talking about the VV Day. It wasn't on the news. It wasn't in the newspapers. I never heard of this. What is the anti-communist sentiment in Vietnam these days? Why do they get bullied like communists get bullied? I will answer this question later when I finish this video. Okay, so I put a star in this question and I answer this later. Okay, thank you so much, Brian, for your super chat. That's some real news indoctrination. Source, do trust me. That's so fake. They literally went and pasted two V's together. Oh my gosh.
The U.S. backed up that victory with a simple pledge within the Paris Peace Accords, saying should the South require any military hardware to defend itself against any North Vietnam aggression, we would provide replacement aid to the South on a piece-by-piece, one-to-one replacement, meaning a bullet for a bullet, a helicopter for a helicopter, for all things lost, replacement. The advance of
So see, the puppet government of Vietnam, even the USA was so scared of the north of Vietnam, the Viet Cong. Actually, we call ourselves Viet Minh, but whatever. They're so scared that they had to withdraw out of Vietnam, and then they had to save their face by promising the puppet regime that we would send they will send bullets and helicopters and bombs so they can keep like it's a fucking an act to save face. The USA, right? PragerU, you know this, right? How the fuck can you say this as a backup of that victory? Like, there's no fucking victory of the USA, okay? I'm sorry, but that's the fucking truth. You lost terribly. Oh, and even the puppet regime of Vietnam had that, awesome, quote unquote, backup the USA, bullets for bullets, helicopters for helicopters, They still fucking lost. They could only last for 2 more fucking years and they terribly lost. It's just fucking shameful to them. Hey, Jonathan, thank you so much for your donation. Thank you so much, Jonathan. I received your Zonatas, actually. How much do you think the Afghanistan and Vietnam were similar? Okay, I will put a mark in this question and answer this after this video. Okay. Whew. Right, let's continue. Laos and Cambodia. Yeah, I feel so sorry for Laos and Cambodia that they were dragged into this war of Vietnam because how evil the USA were. They just bombed the shit out of this region. They didn't even care that region actually belongs to Vietnam or actually Laos or Cambodia. They just bombed it. They didn't even give a shit. That was why There were lots and lots and lots of Laotian and Cambodians, the victim of the Vietnam War, even though they didn't even join. They didn't actually involve in this
of
war.
communist tyranny had been halted by
Communist
those
tyranny.
accords.
Yeah, right. Fucking hell,
Then
man.
it all came apart, and it happened this way. In August of the following year, 1974, President Nixon resigned his office as a result of what became known as Watergate.
Yeah, Watergate.
months
Remember
after-
the Watergate? Folks, remember this Watergate? Oh my god, it's just such an embarrassing incident.
One of my favorite things about that video is how he glosses over that.
Yeah, right?
Because he's going to try to act like the Democrats were so bad for ending the war. Spoiler alert! But he just like glosses over. Oh, yeah, and then Nixon got arrested for highly illegal espionage and stealing documents from.
Literally a war criminal, and then did a very embarrassing crime that he had to resign.
But of course, he didn't go to jail for it or anything like that.
Yeah.
There used to be a right-wing conservative talk show host that I used to listen to when I was a right-winger.
Mm.
My dad loved him. His name is G. Gordon Liddy. He's one of the guys that broke into the Watergate Hotel for Nixon. And he did go to jail. He went to jail. Nixon did not go to jail even though he ordered it. G. Gordon Liddy did go to prison, and then he got out and he became like a right-wing talk show host. Just a little footnote.
Gosh. Communist tyranny, yes. The USA lost to this communist tyranny. I would take that as a badge of honor. This communist tyranny fucking won against the USA, okay? Oh, he just got lost over the Watergate incident, and act like it was just nothing. Okay, let's continue.
After his resignation came the November congressional elections, and within them, the Democrats won a landslide victory for the new Congress. And many of the members used their new majority to defund the military aid that the United States had promised, peace for peace, breaking the
Blaming the
commitment that
Democrats.
we made to
It's
the
coming.
South Vietnamese in Paris to provide whatever military hardware the South Vietnamese needed in case of aggression from the North. Put simply and accurately, a majority of Democrats of the 94th Congress did not keep the word of the United States.
Can we get a hashtag defund the military?
Yeah, can we please, people in the chat, please, to have a hashtag campaign in the chat right now, defund the military, please. If the Democrats were actually as cool as the Republicans describe them, please fucking defund the military. I wish. See this dude trying to blame the Democrats for, losing the Vietnam War and, didn't keep the word of the United States. They are un-Americans. The Democrats.
If only. File this one under things conservatives say that would be awesome if true.
Exactly. Oh. Blame the Democrats and act like it's just a different side of one same coin. Yeah, defund the military. Blaming the Democrats because America loves viewing its politics as sport teams. Haven't they forgot that Lyndon B. Johnson, a Democrat, was the one that brought the combat troops to Vietnam? Exactly.
I'm so glad. Yeah, we got to talk about it. The liberals were like working hand in glove with the fascist puppet government in South Vietnam. I mean, from the beginning, to pretend that there's some major difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. Oh, remember, you were going to talk about the fact that the only reason the Democrats wanted to end the war was because white people were getting drafted. Like they're white
exactly.
kids.
Yeah, I want to add that too. I add that too about, actually, a bunch of Democrats in the USA in the 1970s, they wanted to end the war in Vietnam just because white people were dragged into that war against their will. That was it. And if you can, send me the link to the video, the conversation between black students and white students. And what black student was so mad that they had to walk out of the room and stop talking to white people because white students didn't give a shit about black people being dragged, because black people had been dragged to the military to fight in Vietnam long before white people, and the white people didn't do shit about it all in the 1960s. But in 1970s, when the war just got worse and worse, the USA were losing and they were desperate, they started dragging white people. That was only when white people started protesting against the war harder and harder. They did not, protest it because they care for black people or Vietnamese people. They just did it because, white people started getting involved in this, and that sucks. I'm sorry.
On April the 10th of 1975, President Gerald Ford appealed directly to those members of the Congress in an evening joint session televised to the nation. In that speech, he literally begged the Congress to keep the word of the United States. But as President Ford delivered his speech, many of the members of the Congress walked out of the chamber. Many of them had an investment in America's failure in Vietnam.
Wow, this psychopath. This literally psychopath. Just talk about, how the Democrats president just didn't continue to murder innocent people in Vietnam. And somehow it's just so bad for them, fucking. Oh my gosh, people wanting peace is actually evil to this psychopath. The USA stop committing war crime is bad, according to PragerU.
They had participated in demonstrations against the war for many years.
And somehow they painted this as a bad thing, You protest, anti-war protesters, actually they were evil, they were un-American. And they're so bad that they're so powerful that they forced USA out of Vietnam, and, that was because they, again, and I want to talk about this too, Again, they paint, they make you believe that the USA lost the Vietnam War and had to, withdraw out of Vietnam. It was because of a bunch of anti-war protesters, not because of this fucking Viet Cong country, this fucking communist tyranny won against them so badly that they had to pull out. Okay? Nope. The USA lost the Vietnam War and had to withdraw out of Vietnam. It was because of the Democrats and because of a bunch of anti-war protesters. Now, here's the thing. I respect a lot of hundreds of thousands of Americans protested against the war in Vietnam. Yes, very much respect. That's a very brave thing to do. And there are also many people who got killed by the USA police and military for protesting against the war in Vietnam. I never say that it's not a good thing, or we acknowledge that. But to say that the USA lost the Vietnam War due to just Democrats and these anti-war protesters is absurd. Millions of fucking Vietnamese people rose up, fought to death, including my own grandpa, so we can protect our independence and freedom and self-determination. They could not even admit that they lost to this communist tyranny, quote unquote. No, it was all because of the Americans themselves, Fucking racist point of view. Racist asshole.
And they wouldn't give the aid. On April the 30th, South Vietnam surrendered, and re-education camps were constructed, and the phenomenon...
See, again, the South Vietnam surrender, somehow it relates to the Democrats. It's a font of Democrats, not the Republicans. Because the Republicans was the one who actually wanted to send even more troops and weapons to Vietnam to murder more Vietnamese people, even though they knew that they were fucking losing.
The boat people began.
Yeah, okay, boat people, yep. The literally, just like the Miami Cubans. Yes, there were lots of Vietnamese who, had a better life under the puppet regime, just like a lot of people had a better life under the regime of Batista. And they flee to Miami, Cuba, and now Vietnamese, those boat people, they flee to Orange County, California, or Houston, Texas. Same kind of thing like that.
South Vietnamese had received the arms that the United States promised. Would the result have been different? It already
No,
had
it's
been
not.
different. The
No,
North Vietnamese
not.
leaders
You still fucking
admitted that they
lose.
were testing the
Lose
new
to this fucking
president, Gerald
communist.
Ford, and they took one village after another, then cities,
Yep.
then provinces, and our only response
Okay. Wait a minute.
was to go back on our word. The U.S. did not resupply the South Vietnamese as we had promised. It was then that the North Vietnamese knew they were on the road to South Vietnam's capital city, Saigon, that would soon be renamed Ho Chi Minh City.
You see the sound effect? The dramatic sound effect. Boom. They got name. Change the name to Ho Chi Minh City. And somehow it's so bad. Yay! It's fucking slap in the fucking face of the puppet regime and the USA that the literal capital city of the puppet regime that they so proud that they call the Pearl of Indochina now change to Ho Chi Minh fucking City. It's amazing. It's a really, really slap in the face of this Viet Cong. Such tyranny. Yeah, we renamed the whole city. Wow. It's so evil.
Former Arkansas Senator William Fulbright, who had been the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, made a public statement about the surrender of South Vietnam. He said this, "I am no more distressed than I would be about Arkansas losing a football game to Texas."
See that? William Fulbright. See that? Remember I talked about, why the Democrats want to pull out of the Vietnam War. It was because white people started being dragged into this war against their will. This sentence is exactly that to prove that point. I am no more distressed than I would be about Arkansas losing a football game to Texas. Those white people, especially those white Democrats, they do not give a fucking shit about Vietnam, about innocent Vietnamese women and children. They just think of a Vietnam War as a football match to them. They didn't give a shit. They stopped the war not because they care about Vietnamese people. They care about humanity. They stopped it just because they didn't care. They didn't care about Vietnam. They didn't care about us enough that they want to send white people there. This is the truth of, even the Democrats who pull out of that war, even though Democrats themselves started that war. This is it. They did this just because white people started getting dragged into this war against their will, not because they care about us. The Vietnamese are allowed to name their own cities. Exactly. Okay.
The U.S. knew that North Vietnam would violate the accords, and so we planned for it.
Oh,
what we
really?
did not know was that our own Congress would violate the accords, and violate them, of all things, on behalf of the North Vietnamese. That's what happened. I'm Bruce
Really?
Hutchinson.
Oh my. Let's read this. Following the fall of Saigon, more than 1 million South Vietnamese were sent to re-education camps in the countryside. 250,000 died there, victims of summary executions, torture, and disease and malnutrition. This is the attribute to the victims of communism, the monuments. And where's the source? Actually, excuse me, where's the source? No source whatsoever. Between 1975 and 1995, 2 million Vietnamese fled the country, sailing to South China Sea. Fucking South China Sea doesn't exist. Okay? Please call it the East Sea of Vietnam. In poorly equipped vessel in their quest for freedom. You see, the Miami Cubans also did the exact same thing. The mobs and the slave owners also flee to Miami, the USA, for freedom. Yep. And you remember Amy Fan West? I did a video debunking her. She was, one of the boat people. Yeah. That's fucking Amy Fan West and Andy fucking Ngo. Andy Ngo. Yes. Known as the boat people, it is estimated that 200,000 of them died in the effort, victims of drowning and murders by pirates. I mean, do not blame us. Excuse me, we didn't do this. They chose that road and this fucking long road, and the thing that they must expect. We didn't do this. We didn't send pirates out there to the ocean to stop them. Excuse me. No source whatsoever. Today, Vietnam still has a communist government. So much for the USA, has a victory in the Vietnam. What kind of victory that even to this day, 2022, and Vietnam still a communist government, a communist tyranny. But it has abandoned all the communist economic theories for which it sacrificed to many of its citizens. Wow. I could advocate a whole 24 hours long stream about this. All right? Oh, gosh. But long story short, no, Vietnam do not abandon all the communist economic theories, okay? This is what we call socialist-oriented market economy, and we still call ourselves a Marxist-Leninist nation.
That is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shot right there from the PragerU thing.
Yeah.
It's really, you know how we always say everything good that happens in Vietnam is because of capitalism, and everything bad that happens is because of communism. And it's like the whole strong, weak enemy thing as well.
Exactly.
It's just like, okay, Vietnam is communist, but they're not communist.
Yeah, Vietnam is communist, but actually they're not real communists.
Because I'm sure that in other PragerU videos too, they talk about how evil Vietnam is for having a communist socialist economy.
See, that lady count money, and they act like money only exists under capitalism.
Well, it's like they're just they have no fucking consistency or coherency whatsoever.
Yeah.
And they're literally saying,
and look at that, babe. That money, you see this? I am Vietnamese. I know exactly what it is. The pile of money on her side is actually fake money for the War of the Dead. For dead
it's not even
people.
money.
We're gonna burn it.
Look
for
at that
dead
evil
people.
old lady. That's what they're trying to say. Look at this evil old lady. But wait a minute. Is she evil because she's capitalist? Because it's like so incoherent. It's like, if they have a capitalist economy, then PragerU should love them because PragerU loves capitalism. So like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Literally, the
they're
PragerU
contradicting themselves so hard, and it's so funny.
Yeah. Cognitive dissonance. Vietnam is still communist, but it has abandoned communism.
It makes no fucking sense. Like, by their
Make up your own mind, please. So are we communists or not?
This is what you throat. I can't fucking believe it. It's so funny. It just makes absolutely no sense.
Excuse me, so please make up your own mind. So are we communists or not? Okay? Can't stand this. Let's just finish this. A few seconds left. Look at that. Oh, like Vietnam has some, a music thing with the USA, oh, the stock market. We have a stock market, and there's a white girl here, so it means that we abandoned all communism. Yeah, great. Yeah, sure. Okay. Please do not subscribe to PragerU in any of their channels or social media. Please do not do that. I recommend you not to do that. And let's check the description to see if they give you any source. No source. PragerU.com, just their website. Subscribe. No, do not subscribe. They have a iTunes, do not listen. Play Google, do not download. Textless. This is the script itself. That's it. For the complete script. Oh, it doesn't even fucking exist anymore. Look at this. It's a 404 page not found. Okay. So I mean, yep. No source whatsoever. So were we supposed to believe the word from that mouth? Seriously? Don't even dislike. Yeah, do not like or dislike them. Just leave them alone. Instead, go like my channel. Even you dislike my videos, I would love that because that's also counted as an engagement. And that's good for the algorithm. So if you do not like me at all, please go dislike all my videos. I would very much appreciate that. No. Actually, I would very much hate you if you dislike every single videos of me. If you are like anti-communist and you really hate me that much, yeah, I would hate you very much. That's gonna be terrible for my channel. Okay. So there's nothing to see here. Move along. Okay. I only watch PragerU videos through leftist debunking this. That's a good way to do it. Yes. Yes. Oh no. Why do you have to talk rudely and disrespectfully about the subject? Really? Do I really need to respect the fucking USA, the country that commits genocide against our own fucking people? I'm not. I'm not gonna respect the USA or the language that I have to speak. Okay. Excuse me. What?
Luna, you have to be respectable. Don't you need to practice
Fuck
respectability
that liberal
politics.
mindset. Fuck that. Okay? I can say fuck the United States of America as much as I want.
No, you cannot show emotion, Luna.
Oh yeah. You know the stereotype of dragon mama or like tiger mama or something that Asians supposed to be like emotionless.
Well, when people
Tough.
of color show emotion, then then white people will project that they're like aggressive.
I mean,
and
like I would make like white people uncomfortable and feel attacked, right?
If you show emotion, then you're an aggressive Asian woman, and if you don't show emotion, you're a cold Asian woman. So it's tone policing bullshit. If you have a point to make your point. Otherwise, get the fuck out. Thank you for joining.
Okay, now let's address some donations and super chat questions. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. All right. All right. Let's check the super chat. Okay, there's a lot, huh? Well, first, Brian. What is the anti-communist sentiment in Vietnam these days, and do they get bullied like communists get bullied in America? But
I'm just making sure you got stream elements open too.
Okay, yes, I'm checking the stream element. Now here's the thing. The anti-communist sentiments coming from all sides. Of course, anti-communists come directly from anti-communists, right-wingers, fascist sympathizers. Yes, and anti-communists also coming from, some so-called anarchists. Especially the egoist anarchists. Anti-communist sentiments also coming from, ultra left. People call themselves Maoist, Gonzaloids, bullshit. And also coming from like empath stock, the American Patriotic Socialists. It's all fronts, a lot. And the one I will give you some of the most common sentiments, anti-communist sentiments about Vietnam is that like from the right wingers, Vietnam is evil authoritarian communist regime. Totalitarian ultimate regime, and then we evil, we use military or all kind of stuff. When we authoritarian, we exotic, and we oppressing our own people. There's no freedom of speech. There's no freedom of religions. We do not have the voice. Vietnamese people do not have the voice, and we all brainwash people. Yeah, that's an anti-communist sentiment coming from right-wingers and fascist sympathizers, okay? The anti-communist sentiment coming from, so-called leftists is that like we're actually traitor of communism. We abandon communism. We're not socialists. So we actually capitalism. We love capitalism. And again, at the same time, like anarchists and egoist anarchists, we evil statists, authoritarian. No, it's so funny that those some anarchists have the same exact argument as those right wingers and fascist sympathizers. They all like shake hand in the idea that Vietnam is evil or authoritarian regime with a state that oppressing everybody. There's no freedom of speech. So yeah, anti-communist sentiments are every fucking where coming from all kind of fronts, okay? And they got bullied terribly on the internet of Vietnam, especially in many big communist like Facebook fan pages in Vietnam. They got bullied terribly. Yes, they even got like dragged out, and we are kind of very collective about this. Like when Vietnamese communists, we saw like a member of a group saw some absurd argument coming from those anti-communists, we will post that in our communist Facebook groups, and then we will call everybody like, "Hey, everybody, this is it. Everybody, go there and please like say." Tell the truth to this person. It happened also to the the embassy, the U.S. embassy in Vietnam, and the U.S. embassy is extremely anti-communist, and so many times they actually raise the anti-communist activists in Vietnam try to sabotage our country, and they praise them as a freedom fighter. Yeah, they call people like ending all freedom fighters, so you understand their point of view, right? And so, yes, many times that people just took screenshot of that statement coming from the fucking embassy, U.S. embassy to Vietnam, and hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese, bombarded their page to try to tell them to fuck off. So yeah. Next question is how much do you think the Afghanistan and Vietnam wars are similar? Can the Viet Cong and Taliban be compared? Also, waving the South Vietnam flag in Vietnam today has the same or similar connotation as waving a CSA flag in the US. What is CSA's flag?
Confederate States of America.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, and have to say like here's the thing. When I talk about the anarchists like spreading anti-communist argument, I'm talking about not like the actual, because I know there are many really really cool communist comrades out there that I consider them comrade, and I always willing to work with them. Okay, I'm talking about the people who are fake anarchists. They call themselves, they just took the advantage of calling themselves leftists so they can be more of the genuine kind of voice, and they can easier for them to infiltrate into this thing, because it is a thing that they are lots and lots of Asian provocateurs that actually they create fake accounts and call themselves fake names and fake ideological position and try to spread the exact same CIA propaganda. So please understand that I'm not talking about all anarchists or anything out there. I'm just talking about some Asian provocateurs that and even like not just Western anarchists, we do have a people like this, and I'm sending the link in the chat right now. You want to check out? That's the Vietnamese. That's a person claim themselves to be Vietnamese anarchists, and they spread the anti-communist propaganda far and wide using, Western media outlets, using, website and social medias. And we in the non-lag collective, we debunk this fake Vietnamese anarchists already. And yeah, so please understand that no, I didn't try to, like call all anarchists the same. That's very stupid. I'm a dialectical materialist. So I do not think that all communists is the same or all anarchists is the same, all Marxists is the same. It's not what I believe. What is CSA? CSA is Confederate State of America, the South America in the Civil War where they wanted to keep slaves. That's it. That's them. Now, back to the question. How much do you think the Afghanistan and Vietnam wars are similar? To be honest, we do not want to be compared to the Taliban of Afghanistan. Even though on the phenomena, if you look at the phenomena, they might sound the same. The USA also waged a 20-year-long war in Afghanistan to fight against the Taliban. And finally, they lost, and the USA had to withdraw back to the USA and leave Afghanistan alone. But if you talk about the essence of it, it's very difficult. It's very different. And please do not, I beg you, I sincerely advise you, do not compare the communists of Vietnam to the Taliban, because we very much different in the essence. We not the fundamentalist. We not fight for any religions. And we not terrorists. We Vietnamese communists. We just Vietnamese people who want our country to be independent, to have freedom and self-determination, to have a better life for Vietnamese people. Totally different from the Taliban. So please do not make that comparison. I know that I think that I had some live streams last year, when like lots of people keep comparing, like literally if you compare the communists, the Viet Minh to the Taliban, you literally think that the Viet Minh were like evil, like fundamentalist, religious, like Talibans. We not. So yeah, we don't want to be compared.
One huge difference between Vietnam and like the Vietnamese communists and the Taliban and Al Qaeda. The USA didn't fund and build Vietnamese communists.
Exactly. Oh, I'm about to talk about this. Mujahideen. The Taliban originated from the Mujahideen. The Mujahideen was funded by the USA. Meanwhile, in Vietnam, the USA never ever even funded it. The closest thing to it was in 1945, 1946, when the OSS, the former CIA, would kind of somehow help Vietnam to fight, against, the fascist Japanese. But it just happened in very short time, and there was no actual fund or aid whatsoever. Right after that, they switch side and they have the colonialist French instead. Okay? So it's totally different in essence. Also waving the South Vietnam flag in Vietnam today has the same or similar connotation as waving a CIS flag in the USA. Yeah, it has the same and even more strong, even stronger, because people in the USA right now, racist fuckhead, still raise that flags and they have no problem with it or something. But in Vietnam, if somebody waved that, puppet South regime flag, we, the normal people of Vietnam, we literally shame them out of their existence. So is it the thing that we like very against it? Just talking about just normal Vietnamese people. We would just shame the shit out of them, out of their own existence. Okay, so it's even like, it's just like, we don't see the South Vietnam flag here, because if there is true that people really do that in Vietnam, Vietnamese people on the street would just go there and just burn that flag in front of them, okay? It's so crazy that even until now, I still see people waving those flags in the USA, literally a fucking slave state. And there's nothing happening to them. Like other people just even like, what? They didn't even do anything. At least in Vietnam, we, the normal Vietnamese people, would shame the shit out of them. Next, super chat. Thank you, the most stable Arkeen. Thank you so much for the super chat. Hi, Leonardo, you think we could report the PragerU video for it being false information and harmful misinformation? I think that you could try it if you can, but I doubt it would work because of the cost money. They're very rich. And literally, I do think that they have, special connection with YouTube. And that is why it's really hard for us, as individual voices on the internet to have any impact. That is the truth about the freedom of speech in the, in the Western media outlet. You can say whatever you want and spread as many false information and disinformation you want. And you never be like, and then like if you're rich enough, it's just some money. If you're rich enough, you'll be fine. But if you're poor, your channel will be like blocked forever. It's all freedom of speech means that freedom of rich people to say whatever they want and never bear consequence. So sad. But I appreciate that effort. And if you can, if you think if you feel like it, go report it. Wow. Why not? It doesn't take anything from you, right? Right? Thank you the most Markin. Now super chat. Defund the military hashtag. Civil Natas, thank you so much for super chat. There would be no reason for PragerU to do a video about any subject if they didn't intend to distort the facts. That is the purpose of PragerU videos. Exactly, I agree with it. Yes. RF, thank you so much for your donation. Once again, Luna, when I can't surrender to Vietnam, seriously, I need to get this over with. Brian, thank you so much again for your super chat. The question is, does anyone in Vietnam refer to Ho Chi Minh City as Saigon anymore? I know an immigrant from Vietnam who tried to brag that everyone calls it Saigon. Now, this is a thing. A lot of, the anti-communist Vietnamese, they are very delusional about this. Now, I'm telling you a tip to check if they are, like Vietnamese, like communists, or at least a left-leaning, or an actual anti-communist. Anti-communist Vietnamese only call it Saigon. They refuse to call it Ho Chi Minh City, or like Brian said, they refuse to acknowledge the fact that lots of us call it Ho Chi Minh City, and they just only believe that actually we just call it Saigon. That is a very anti-communist kind of mindset. The actual Vietnamese, not just communist, just a normal Vietnamese, apolitical or just left-leaning or something, we feel comfortable saying two names, interchangeably, Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City. Now, if you really want to dive into the actual meaning of that name, Saigon is just the three main districts of it. It's like the downtown, the original downtown of it. District 1 to 3. Okay? And after the Viet Cong, the communist Vietnam, North Vietnam took over the Saigon, and we keep, the three main districts, 1 to 3. And then we added more districts around it, make it become a huge city, way bigger than the original one. And we renamed the whole thing Ho Chi Minh City. So actually, when we normal Vietnamese, when we say Saigon, we mean like the downtown, district 1 to 3. But when we say, in Ho Chi Minh City, we talk about other districts too, like District 11, District 12, district like Tân Bình district or something like that. So yeah, so it's like the actual meaning of that name. But normal Vietnamese people, we use those two names interchangeably. We don't have any problem with it. Only the anti-communist refuse to call it Ho Chi Minh City. That's it. A great monkey king. Thank you so much for your donation. In America, veterans who capture actual enemy flags hold them as a collector's item. Do Vietnamese veterans do this too? No. None of us ever keep any flag of Americans. Nope. That flag to us, this is true. That flag to us is traumatizing and painful. It is the swastika flag to Jewish people. So we don't keep it. We don't keep it as a trophy. We keep like other stuff like belt or like flashlight or fire starter, like some like souvenir like that, but not the flag itself.
Lighter.
The lighter, the dagger, something like that. Yeah,
Deck of cards.
yeah, yeah. But do not the flag. We don't have a tradition of keeping other different countries' flag. Yes.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Mm.
Got distracted.
So that is why, like, talk a little bit about the flag. That is why, it is very painful for lots of Vietnamese people. When seeing the AMPAT stop, those American Patriot Socialists, they wave the flag, the communist sickle and hammer flag along with the American flag. We just feel cringe so hard. It is like, if you're Jewish, communist, or anarchist, and then you see, a bunch of Germans, they wave the swastika flag along with the ANCOM flag or the communist flag. It's as cringe as that. Because the swastika flag, aka the American flag, hasn't fucking nothing to do with our own flag. So it's can't. No, please don't do that. Cringe. I met many many beautiful Vietnamese American women. But when they refuse to acknowledge Ho Chi Minh City, I kiss them goodbye. Good for you. Yeah. Also, when people say back in Saigon, they are quoting veterans. Most Americans who go there call it Ho Chi Minh City. Yeah. Ugh. Why you keep asking about these Trotskyists? I don't want to talk about those people. I don't. I receive enough bullshit from them that I do not want to address this. Just I would just give you one thing. Ho Chi Minh hated Trotskyists, especially the Chinese Trotskyists and the Vietnamese Trotskyists who tried to assassinate him several times. And I agree with Ho Chi Minh. Okay, that's it. My opinion. Please stop. Just no, don't please. What? Tabernacle? Who's that? Tabernacle? Tabernacle? A YouTuber covering internet culture and politics, degree in history and master. Oh, I never heard of them actually. Okay. Okay, good to know. I don't know. I don't really know about much about them, and they kind of YouTuber coming to Vietnam. Okay, I'll check them out then. I guess if you recommend me.
Hey,
Oh,
can I jump in on the Trotsky comment real quick?
yes.
Even though both of us hate talking about this because all it ever brings out is like
Drama.
horrible people. But I don't know. I'm just curious if you agree with me on this, Linda. We haven't really talked about this online ever. First point is there's a difference. There you have to remember, like, there's a difference between Maoism and Mao Zedong thought, right?
Yeah, totally different things.
And there's a difference between like what people call Trotskyism today and like Trotsky's ideas and writings,
Yes,
right? Like
yes.
there's a modern.
Yeah.
I'm afraid
There's
people
more-
are gonna like people aren't as in the weeds as we are in this shit, so they don't know. People are gonna like misinterpret you.
Yeah.
But there's a group of mostly online people who call themselves Trotskyists who are extremely fucking toxic. A lot of them are like
Extremely
really into
toxic.
like Gonzalo and Shining Path and this. It's you might think we're talking about something we're not. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, also, you agree Trotsky had some good ideas.
Yeah, Trotsky has some good ideas. Yes.
Okay, I just
Agree
wanted to
with
make
that.
sure that we caveated that because people
Yeah.
are gonna fucking click
Okay,
that.
I will be more clear.
Okay.
You know the Trotsky or Mao Zedong or Stalin themselves, they very much different than what we call Trotskyism,
Yeah.
Maoism, or even Stalinism to this day. There's like some very big kind of abstract,
I think
between
Trotsky
those
was
things.
mostly. I mean, I'm not an expert on this stuff.
Mm.
The one thing I like about Trotsky is I think he was right when he talked about how dialectical materialism and scientific socialism can be used for evil, basically. I think that's
Yeah.
really interesting, and
Yeah.
there's some good ideas in there.
I agree with that because, like, in the end of the day, it's just a tool, and
Yeah.
how you use it, good or bad, depends on you.
Yeah.
It's like a knife. You can use it to cook food, to feed people, or use it to kill people.
And Trotsky's ideas, you can use them for good or for evil.
Oh,
Anyway, I don't know. I'm just afraid people are gonna like start clipping you, and
yeah,
at least you have to have like a record of you
exactly.
expounding your thoughts. Okay,
Exactly.
sorry. Just went-
The thing too, like, Mao Zedong and Maoism are two different things. And just in case that, like, some of you might do not know about this, because I remember that a long time ago I read an article about Mao Zedong, and actually, in China they have the Mao Zedong thought, just like we in Vietnam we have Ho Chi Minh thought, and Mao Zedong even himself demanded specifically that do not call his thought an ideology or like an ism, because it's not, Maoism, when it's not an ism, because he just like, the application of Marxism Leninism into the material conditions of China at that time, and he just wanted to call it the Mao Zedong thought. Just like Ho Chi Minh, we never called it like Ho Chi Minh-ism. No, we don't. We just call it Ho Chi Minh thought, and we just believe that it's an application of Marxism-Leninism. It's just a branch of Marxism-Leninism in Vietnam, and that's it. And the Maoism they call to this day, it's not written by Mao Zedong himself. It came from a bunch of Mao followers, Gonzalo people or something, the Shining Path. Okay, so yeah, I distinguish that. I distinguish that with the actual Mao Zedong thought himself. Okay. Ho Chi Minh is himself so wrong. Exactly. Please, no, it's a Ho Chi Minh thought. I do hope in the future that there would be no shithead out there create some ideology and call it Ho Chi Minh-ism. Please do not shame the name of Ho Chi Minh by doing that. What age do you learn dialectical materialism? Before college, as soon as in secondary school. I think 14, 15 year old in middle school to high school and into university, because I do remember that in our civic education class in middle school we did learn a very basic the version of dialectical materialism and communism too. I'm checking the chat right now. Okay.
You should check. You should shout out that Danny Haifong article I sent.
Oh, where is it?
It's in the way up in the private chat.
Oh, the first one, right? Chronicle. Okay.
If
Okay.
it's a-
Okay, I share this.
Maybe you could read a little bit of it. and
Yeah,
give a
yeah.
preview.
This is an article that Danny had found to send me. Let's check this right here, right now, just to have a quick read. Oh man, here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. This article is about ghost stories of capitalism. Mental health is a class issue. Totally agree. We can't fight capitalism or
You might want to
imperialism.
start by telling people who Danny Haifong is in case they.
Forgot, sorry. Danny Haifong is a Vietnamese American comrade. He's really cool, and he is a writer. He wrote a lot of articles fighting against capitalism. So I consider him as a very decent, source for information about the USA. So I hope that you can check him out. Here, we can't fight capitalism or imperialism without confronting the psychic suffering that this system has spread far and wide among us. Feeling sad and depressed, you might be suffering from capitalism. Yeah, agree. In addition to producing socialist and anti-imperialist independent media, I've been in social work for 9 years. Before this, I moved from childhood to adulthood within a household that struggled with mental illness. Memories from this period aren't all bad or negative. However, for those who struggle with any number of mental health disorder, it is not uncommon for the brain to place intense focus on those memories associated with the stuff made of ghosts and horror stories. Unlike movies, the suffering embedded in humanity's traumatic memories rarely gets the collective attention it deserves. Here are just a few of mine. I remember bleeding to my mother to stop running the sink so that I could get some rest in our tiny apartment the night before my SAT exams. I remember the nausea that I felt before each and every high school basketball game, feeling as though the weight of the world was sitting on my chest and stomach. Equally vivid is the memory of the hoarding neighbor in the apartment below, threatening my mother with violence when I was preteen, and my father coming home with visible bruise and cuts after being jumped by gangsters on the block years before that. Oh, that's terrible. Memories such as these are rooted in a family history of mental illness. My father bore depressive scars of trauma from being raised by a mother who struggled with an addiction to alcohol throughout his childhood. Economic insecurity and being drafted to invade Vietnam on behalf of genocidal US imperialists didn't have matters either. My mother's mental health condition were even more severe than my father's. Undiagnosed bipolar and obsessive compulsive disorder created innumerable barriers to stereotypical mother-child relationship under capitalism and fuel toxic stress in the home. This is a very interesting reading. Wow. Being a child of mental illness is confusing. The alienation is profound. There are often more questions than answers. As children, the stigma associated with mental health conditions keep us hiding. We don't want help. We don't want to talk about it. We just want to be normal and hope that over time any obstacles will be surpassed on the way to a normal life. Wow. This is very touching. I wasn't until It wasn't until I entered adulthood that I mastered intellectualization and channeled this into the struggle against imperialism and capitalism. By the time I was 23, I firmly believed that mental health conditions were a byproduct of exploitation, class rule, white supremacy, and the violence of imperialist society formed the roots of so-called psychic pathology. I still believe this. Indeed, the evidence is profound. 1 in 5 people in the United States have been diagnosed with a mental health disorder, and many more live with undiagnosed conditions. The United States leads the world in number of people taking antidepressant medications. Wow, I didn't know that. SSRI medications are prescribed for a variety of mental health disorders, from major depressive disorder to generalized anxiety. The prevalence of mental illness in the US has been going up by at least 1% annually. Wow. Rates of depression and anxiety in the US has gone up between 50 to 60% over the decade from 2005 to 2017. That is crazy. We are number one in the number of people taking antidepressant for mental health disorders. Look at this thing. I'll check this one out. Holy shit. People, look at this. Holy shit. Is Vietnam in this list? I don't think so. Even though Vietnam suffer from, you know, the Agent Orange, the toxins from the USA, the United States 110. Top of the freaking world, man. Wow. The reason for this are many. Economic insecurity in the age of neoliberalism has been coupled with the eradication of public and collective institutions of any kind. Steady increase is homelessness, healthcare debt, student loan debt, inflation, low wage employment, and long term unemployment are all major risk factors for toxic stress and a decline in mental health. The US is also a racist and repressive society that is that incarcerates more than 2 million people, 25% of the whole world's total, and regularly targets Black Americans and other oppressed nations for police brutality and discrimination, endless war, individualism. And wait a minute, I need to check this. This is a very good article, I gotta say. Um, targets Black Americans and other oppressed nations for police brutality and discrimination. Endless war, individualism, and corporate media propaganda only add to the stress of living in an empire in decline that is rotting from within. This is very strong. Well, I like it. I love it. These conditions create widespread isolation, fear, anger, and confusion. The communities are dismembered. Despair is commonplace. The ruling class stigmatizes mental anguish and suffering because it reflects understandable reactions to the pain that its system has imposed on the majority of people. Media portrayals of crazy people committing heinous antisocial acts ingrained in our minds that mental illness is synonymous with violence and danger. Exactly. Exactly. You know that the mass shootings and they usually blame it for mental illness. Excuse me? People with mental problems, they are not that murderous. Okay? They're not that violent. So please do not blame us. Blame those people with mental illness as violence as a psychopath. Social control is paramount for an increasingly unstable system of exploitation. This is why the US punishes mental illness far more than it invests in treatment. US prisons are suffered to the brim with poor people suffering from serious mental health conditions. Police regularly gun down and murder people suffering from acute mental distress. State violence and mass incarceration not only increases mental health risks, but also sends a powerful message to the suffering that punishment is far more likely to be meted out than comparison. Or discharge. Prison Policy Initiative. Over half of people in state prisons report mental health problems, but only 1 in 4 has received professional help in prison. Well, 56% has any recent or prior history of mental health problem. 43% ever receive a diagnosis. 14% has a serious psychological distress. Only 26% has received professional help. Only 6% is currently receiving counseling or therapy from a professional. Wow. Social movements are not immune from the US punitive and stigmatizing approach to mental health. Decades of government infiltration has spread sectarianism. Stiff collective organization divided the left and brought countless organizations and leaders to fight amongst themselves rather than against a class enemy. The truth is that we come into movement activism for a reason. Many times, it's the wage of oppression and exploitation that drives us into seeking out collective action. And in too many instances, it's the disappointment and the hurt that we experience from others engaged in the same cause that risk discouragement to the point of isolation. Yeah, isolation is a very severe problem, especially in the USA. Isolation among the people has increased exponentially by the COVID-19 pandemic. Yes, and all of the economic and socialist dislocation caused by the capitalist class prioritization of profits over human need. With isolation comes a heightened sense of danger. When this heightened sense of danger has nowhere to go, it comes out in ways that can go unnoticed to the naked eyes. Political and emotional discontent has been channeled into deep divides over COVID-19 and partisan politics, leaving as little room as possible for workers and oppressed people to collectively experience their suffering and come together to fight the ruling class responsible for it. This is a really amazing article, and I'm sending the link in the chat right now. If you want to continue, the article, it is really good, I gotta say. And this hits close to home because I did talk to lots of people from USA with mental health problem, and yes, and in Vietnam, I have an uncle who is a victim of Agent Orange, but I had to say that the society of Vietnam is less toxic and we are way more collectivist, collective, and we are not a racist society, so it is much healthier society for people with mental health problem to live in. Like my uncle, he has mental health problem and he just like live his whole life in the village and peacefully like that, and the whole village know about him and care about him, something like that. And if we see that if any of them see he has any trouble, they would just call a family member to go help directly. So it is, even though we have to suffer from to biochemical weapons from the USA, and people with mental health problem is the big part of the Vietnamese society, but because of the reasons that I just listed, this society is less toxic than the USA. And so, people with mental health in Vietnam, we have a less of an issue than the USA. You know, individualism, exploitation, oppression, racism between the people, and the economic struggles, economic insecurity is really important. Yeah, my uncle, he has a wife and two girls, and they all live in the same. Yeah, he lives in the house in the middle of the village, and they also have a free rice farm from the government, as any Vietnamese born in the rural areas will receive a piece of farm like that. He work on that and live peacefully his whole life. He's around 60 something year right now. It's pretty peacefully, yeah, like that. We're poor. He's poor, but like it's okay. Everything is okay. And because of the, he's poor, and also he suffer mental illness, so he has free healthcare from the government, totally free. And every month, his wife just need to go to the hospital or the medical center in the same village and take the free medicine home for him. So this is how this poor developing country of Vietnam, take care of our people with mental health problem. We give them free health care and some allowance every month, mostly allowance for the people who take care of them. Or if they live alone, they can choose to go live in the central for like sick people or like mental health people, or like yeah, we have the allowance. This is how amazing it is. Not much, but it's at least something. People with mental health, they have an allowance every month, and also people who directly take care of that sick people, we also have the allowance. And the same thing that people over 80-year-old will receive the old age allowance of Vietnam, along with free healthcare, free monthly medicines, and also free piece of rice from the government. So actually, we're not rich. It doesn't make us rich, but at least we are very stable because of that. And yeah, it's just a story of my own uncle living in the middle of the village, like that. We all being driven mad by the constant narcissistic abuse psychological damage is created by capitalism. Yeah, I gotta say that lots of people, especially right wingers, say, blame us leftists of being like delusional, blaming capitalism for mental health issue. But if you look at it from, dialectical materialist point of view, it's absolutely true. Because here's the thing. You're born in a society that, a highly capitalist society like in the USA, where your family, especially if you're not white, your family have to face you know, like poverty, racism from the society, and the economic insecurity because you're not white, so you have to work more for less. And then your children have to face racism because racism goes hand in hand with capitalism to divide the working class. They use race system to pay white people more and pay non-white people less. It's a way to oppress non-white people to work for them in the lower wage, but have the same exact amount, so have a more profit to capitalists. And also at the same time, individualism, because the capitalist class, they want to divide the working class using sexism, racism, and individualism. So we could never unite together to have a solidarity, to have to fight against the existence of capitalism. So of course they use individualism to divide us. And individual, like human, we are like collective kind of social beings, means that we need to live in a community, in a society. We need to communicate and we need to share our thoughts and talk to each other. That is why being sent to prison, even like in a like in a separated room, is the worst punishment. Being and you commit like crimes, being sent to prison, to be taken away from a society, is punishment, and it is very scary to us because if you believe in the human nature, it is that we are collective animals. We need each other to survive. That is why, as I will say this again, that is why being sent to prison, meaning you are taken away from society, from your families, from your friends, from your loved ones, is the worst punishment. And the worst punishment is that inside prison, you did something bad according to those guards. You will be sent into a confined room for weeks. That is considered the worst punishment. And even execution, the death sentence is when you like end your existence forever from this life. That is terrible. So it is a thing that the pseudoscience about human nature is being greedy or evil, or like want to, like step over each other to be alone, to gain most wealth. It's like, it's not. It's not. We are collective animals. We live as a society, as a human being. We need each other to survive. So this is the nature of us. Is be socialist, is being collectivist. Okay. So that is why, like, capitalism is against that quote unquote nature of us. They try to divide us so they can conquer us easier. They use sexism to divide men and women, male and female. They use racism to divide white and non-white. They use individualism to even wider scale. They use it to divide us from other people. It's just like us against other people, us against the world. They also use transphobia to divide, trans people and other people. They like queerphobia to divide all the people in the marginalized group, LGBTQ plus, to other people. That is a tool for capitalism to divide us. I'm not saying that capitalism created those things. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that capitalism used those terrible things as a very effective tools to divide the working class. So what? So non-white people will not have a solidarity with white people, and vice versa. White people will not have a solidarity with non-white people. Men will look down on women, and straight people will look down on queer people. You know, and even like white people themselves, they told me this. White people themselves, because of the narcissism and also because of individualism, they are not comfortable being next to each other. So if with all of that obstacles, how can you unite with each other? Of course not. That is why it's so fucking easy for capitalists to divide us, to exploit us, and would never be able to work together or to overthrow them. So yes, and that is everything that against the nature, quote unquote, of us. That is why we have to suffer from mental health problem, because what? You have stress, you face these difficulties in your life, but you have nobody to share. You don't feel comfortable sharing your problems with other people. You have to suck it in all by yourself for yourself. That is why you suffer from depression. That's why you suffer from mental health problem. When you poor and you need help, but you are unable, you can't, you don't feel comfortable going out and asking for help. So you have to suffer. And also other people, even though they can't help, but they are too shy or they don't feel comfortable with other people, so they just do not offer help. Or because of nobody asks, nobody communicate with each other, so nobody can know who need kind of what help. The society being terribly divided like that is against our nature, and of course you have to suffer from that. And it's not a coincidence at all that the USA, the most capitalist country in the world, the imperial core of the world, have the most people who suffer from mental health problems. That's totally makes sense. It's the fucking truth. It's obvious. And also, like, you know, in the foreign policy, you know, the America wage wars and, you know, xenophobia, racism, and they created something between us and them. You know, you like rather like with us or against us. You know, like they paint the Americans in the USA, it's like us, and not the rest of the world is them. And they use it to wage wars all around the world. And they got it to the point that it's so successful to the point that like millions of USians raise their military, because you know they send the military out to fight against them, quote unquote, people on the other side of the earth that they never even met and never even posed any fucking threat to the USA. But again, it's because of us against them. If us do not do it first, them will go and kill us. Like seriously, that is really sad. Thank you so much, Leopard, Leopard, Heart. I hope that I say your name right. Thank you so much for the super chat. Also, at the same time of talking about the pharmaceuticals companies, there are 5 main big pharmaceutical companies in the USA, and despite all the, you know, the lies the capitalists teach us about, you know, how competition will breed innovation and how good it is for, you know, the capitalists to compete with each other, so it would be the best outcome for the consumers. You know, the capitalists compete for lower price and higher quality, so it's actually good for you to support capitalism. But actually, what this is how it actually works. The 5 big pharmaceutical companies in the USA work together. They shake hands with each other to raise the price of medicine. So whenever you go, wherever you go, from whatever companies you buy from, the medicine is always so fucking expensive. Just look at the insulin price in the USA. The doctor who came up with insulin only sold his invention for $1 to a pharmaceutical company. He sold it only for $1 for the whole invention. It was because he wanted that company to turn it into kind of a public medicine so cheap
that everybody can afford it because he knew that is essential for millions of people out there in the world. He invented insulin not for money. He invented because he wanted to save people, to help people. Then he only sold it for $1. But now, how much is insulin in the USA? Well, literally the 5 big pharmaceuticals company control the insulin price. How much do you have to pay every month for that fucking insulin? That literally the pharmaceutical got whole invention nearly for free. They had to pay for $1 only. That is how capitalism works. They, on the outside, they lie to you. They praise competition, how competition will bring about, the innovation for society and the customer will benefit from it. In fact, no. They control the fucking whole market. There's so fucking much of free market. It's so free that all the big corporations just bought off everything and control the whole market. So much for fucking free. And about the free market too, the European and so the market in the USA. If they truly believe in the free market, so open the fucking border so we, countries like Asia, like Vietnam, can just export our food there freely. No. It's not. They are so fucking protective of their domestic corporations that whenever we, Vietnam, we export the goods, agricultural products to Europe or to the USA, they put like 500% of tax. I'm not lying. 400 to 500% of tax to make sure that we'll have to sell that product 5 times more expensive in the USA if we want to make profit. They do that because they want to protect their domestic corporation because they are selling those things for fucking high price. Honey in Vietnam. Honey is very cheap in Vietnam because we raise bees here and we have a vast farmlands and gardens and jungle, so actually very free and fucking healthy, fucking cheap and healthy. And when we export our cheap honey in Vietnam, that honey had to bear 480% of taxes. We call it special tax on the Vietnamese product on honey. So that is why you have to buy fucking food in USA so fucking expensive. Because when we sell you cheap food, your government put tax on it 4, 5, 6 times higher to make sure that you will have to buy it expensive. We call it it's like a protectionism. And they claim themselves to be pro-free market. It's so fucking free that they put so fucking high taxes on our cheap products. So their domestic corporation can sell it for expensive. 480, yes, go check it out. 480. Just a few months ago, because of the food, insecurity, food shortage in the USA, and they like honey. So finally, the USA lowered the tax from 480 something down to about 49%. They lowered it down 8 times. Even after 8 times got divided, the tax is still 49%. Protection, we call it protectionism. Everything that capitalists teach you about the free market, the invisible hand, it doesn't fucking work. They lie. They just lie. The invisible hand doesn't fucking exist. And the market will not fix itself whenever anything wrong happen. The capitalists just control everything. And all the way, always, all the time, they were trying to make as much profit as possible. They do not give a shit about the life of the people, of poor people. COVID-19, a global pandemic, became a so fucking profitable business for them. That is why we, the working class, we're dying after the Like we're dying right now. The pandemic's still going on. We never finish. We never stop it. The pandemic's just getting worse and worse and worse. But know what? Capitalists like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates still get even more money, even though we're dying right here. That is it. So a liter honey here is $10, but should be less than $2. Yes, it should be less than $2. Yep. Honey in Vietnam is extremely cheap too. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. We over time, and my throat need to rest a little bit. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here, and hope to see you next week. Love you all. Bye bye.